In Wisconsin and elsewhere, Republicans have argued that an ID requirement is necessary to combat an epidemic of fraudulent voting, although studies have repeatedly shown that illegal voting is exceedingly rare. Privately, some Republicans have allowed that the law's main intent is to keep people who often vote Democratic, the poor, the young and minorities, from going to the polls. The study reported Monday by Professor Mayer and a doctoral student in political science, Michael G. DeCrescenzo concludes that is largely what occurred in November. Their survey involved 288 registered voters in the state's two most populous counties who did not cast ballots in the 2016 election. Based on their answers, the study estimated that 11.2% of the county's 160,000 registered non-voters were kept from casting ballots by the voter ID law. Of those, they estimated that 6% were prevented from voting because they actually did not have an acceptable ID. Most of the remaining registrants possessed acceptable IDs, the study stated, but did not try to vote because they mistakenly believed that they would not be accepted. Of the survey respondents who said that the voter ID law deterred or prevented them from voting, about 8 in 10 had voted in the previous presidential election, the survey showed. The study also found that the law disproportionately affected low-income and African American voters. 21.1% of registrants earning less than $25,000 a year were estimated to have been deterred from voting, compared with 2.7% of registrants making $100,000 a year or more. More than 27% of blacks reported being deterred, compared with about 8% of whites. All told, the study concluded, about 16,800 registrants in the two counties could not or did not cast ballots because of the law. Still more residents elsewhere in the state undoubtedly were kept from voting by the law, Professor Mayer said, but the survey results from the two counties, which include Madison and Milwaukee, cannot be applied to other parts of the state. It has been difficult to gauge the effect of voter ID laws, Professor Mayer said, because each election is different and people have many reasons for not voting. Political scientists have usually relied on statistical analyses of voter data to draw conclusions on the law's impact. But surveys of actual non-voters can provide more reliable estimates, he said, because they directly measure people's motivations for voting or staying home. The Wisconsin study broadly confirms the results of another survey of non-voters conducted by Rice University scholars after the 2014 congressional election. That study concluded that 9% of non-voters in the state's 23rd congressional district were discouraged from voting by Texas's voter ID law, often, as in Wisconsin, because they mistakenly believed they lacked a valid ID.